What does Stewart challenging him say about LeBron?
Well, I don't think it's what Stewart's challenging him because Stewart just lost it, and obviously that's what it is. What it had me thinking about, though, because in all the years that I've covered the league, we talk about the Jordans of the world, the Kobes of the world, and people like that. And you saw LeBron when he first came into the league. You saw when they went to the finals. You saw when they was feigning, taking pictures and playing around and being jovial and all of that other stuff. LeBron James is too phenomenal and too great not to be incredibly respected. But in my estimation, from the people that I've spoken to covering the league, he's never been feared. LeBron is not somebody that instills fear in you. Of course, you got a game plan for him, and you know that his Herculean talents and what have you, and what he brings to the table, he's impossible to stop. He's one of the top 2-3 players in the history of basketball. You know all of those things. But a lot of times when we think about MJ, for example, and obviously he's the one person that draws those comparisons, what ultimately comes up short is the level of fear that was instilled in you. You didn't mess with MJ. You didn't come at MJ like that. You didn't do stuff like that. People, and I'm not talking about Isaiah Stewart, I'm just talking about period in terms of opponents and how they come at you. You believe that you wondered what you was going to do about this. With LeBron, you believe you can take him. You believe he can be had, whether it's because of the teammates around him, the system he's playing in, the people that, whatever skill set you bring to the table, et cetera, you just view him differently. And throughout the years in covering the league, those are all the things that I've consistently heard. Now, obviously, he would refute that. There's players that would refute that who have been supportive of him. Rich Paul and Maverick Carter definitely would refute that because I've spoken to them about it in the past. But again, he is profoundly respected. This is not an issue about respect for LeBron. I'm talking fear factor. Fear factor. That's just not something that has ever been associated with him.
There's a lot to unpack there.
Go ahead, man.
There's a lot to unpack there.
That's why you're here.
First of all, two of the guys you brought up in that conversation.
Yes.
Kobe.
Yeah.
Got two-piece by Chris Childs.
Yes, Chris Childs.
Michael Jordan got the hell beat out of him for years by the Detroit Pistons. So they challenged him physically. To say that LeBron, who's won 4 championships, multiple league MVPs, made the finals 8 straight years, to say he's not feared by players?
Not feared.
I don't know whether to believe that you believe what you're saying.
I do believe
that's crazy.
Well, it's not crazy. It's not.
That's crazy.
It's not crazy, and you know better. You know better.
But hold on. When has there been a situation? If you're talking physical confrontation.
No, I'm not. Listen.
Physical confrontation.
Listen. Well.
If that's what you're referring to, nobody's ever challenged LeBron like that. Why would they?
Nobody could challenge him. I forgot who it was, the center that played for the Chicago Bulls when he shoved LeBron to the ground, pushed him to the floor when he was in Miami. But that's neither here nor there. What I'm saying to you is this. If you watch the game, which you do,
I played the game, Stephen A. And I played against LeBron in the playoffs.
Okay.
And I played against LeBron. I played against LeBron for 15 years.
You fear what he could do. Listen. You fear what he can do to you on the basketball court because nobody could ever question the greatness of LeBron James. But what I am trying to say to you is that you look at him, there's certain things with MJ in the era that he was in. I've spoken to Isaiah, I've spoken to Dr. J, I've spoken to Kareem, I've spoken to Magic, I've spoken to other folks. There's a culture that existed in the 80s, into the 90s, into the 2000s, or what have you. When you look at LeBron and you compare him to some of the preeminent superstars that have played this game, when it comes to fear, that's one of the differences.
Do you mean because LeBron's more accessible, like in terms of the personality, where MJ wasn't like one of the buddy guys?
That could have a lot to do with it. What I'm saying is, we're talking about the greatest player who ever played the game, which I believe to be Michael Jordan. And a lot of times, when you delineate the difference between the two, whether it's Michael Jordan or it's LeBron James, they're talking about a fear factor. There's just certain things you knew that you wasn't going to do to MJ. You could come to MJ on the court. But the things that people have done, the way that they've talked about LeBron James, the way that they've come behind him in the media, behind his back and stuff like that, you hear stuff 30 years later about MJ. A lot of times you didn't hear that kind of stuff going on because there was a level of respect and fear that LeBron, I shouldn't say respect because LeBron has always been respected. Yes.
Stephen A.
Yes.
Hold on a second. LeBron has grown up in a completely different world that existed in the 80s and 90s. There was no First Take in the 90s. Could you imagine in the New York Knicks series, LeBron or MJ going to Atlantic City the day before the game and coming home at 2 a.m. Social media, this show, it's all you would talk about for days.
No.
For days.
No.
Yes, it would be.
No, not on this show. Not on this show. Because as far as I'm concerned, listen, let me tell you what I said back there because I'm glad you brought that up. Michael Jordan went out and gambled, right? And Michael Jordan, hypothetically, I guess it was in the millions or whatever, he might have lost. My response was, you have any idea how much money Michael Jordan's worth? What do you care? Mind your business.
But what does this have to do with
No,
fear?
I'm just bringing you brought up Atlantic City. I'm saying the point that I'm trying to make.
The reason people talk about LeBron, though, is because he lives in a 24/7 news
they would have talked about anybody,
and
it would have been just as bad, if not worse, for MJ, no doubt about it. But I'm talking to you about respect and fear. There's no question. We ain't talking about respect with LeBron.
And I'm disagreeing with you completely.
And so you're saying
there's no credence to Stephen A's argument, JJ.
So you're saying that the people like that, the fear that Michael Jordan instilled in people, that's what LeBron did?
Yes.
Okay.
In a different way. I mean, you're comparing two different things.
Well,
to say that his peers don't fear him, opposing coaches don't fear him.
Listen.
You think people want to go into a playoff series against LeBron?
No, I'm not talking about basketball. I'm not talking about basketball. On the court, I'm acknowledging his greatness. What I'm saying to you, the way people talk about him, the way they look to attack him, and I'm talking about contemporaries in the National Basketball Association. I'm not talking about his performance on the court. That's not what I'm saying. And by the way,
who's attacking LeBron? Who's attacking LeBron?
I'm talking about over the years, people that have come at him. Come on, JJ. I got to go to my archives to look this up.
I would love from a play. Find me a player, more than one.
Right.
Find me a player who's attacked LeBron.
We do have.
Thanks for watching ESPN on YouTube. For live streaming sports and premium content, subscribe to ESPN Plus.